Most people think relapse just happens. Not true. Relapse happens long before the first drink, happens in your brain in tiny moments you don't even notice. All right, so today we're breaking down exactly how relapse happens, the science behind it, and tools to stop before it starts. Hey guys, my name's Anthony. I'm in recovery, came into recovery in 2015, struggled with substances, including alcohol and stimulants. I've been to multiple rehabs. I relapsed after 8 years sober. I'm now in addictions counseling. I work at a rehab, and I'm here today to tell you everything I've learned. I am definitely an expert in relapse, that's for sure. I've had a few of them. I've studied them. I've spent a long time analyzing what went wrong, and now I'm going to bring it to you, as well as a little bit of science behind it, and then the stages of relapse I'm going to talk about. I'll also throw in a little bit about my last relapse and how it happened. And so that you don't have to, you can avoid this going forward. Because I'll tell you right now, I don't recommend relapse to anybody. But if it's going to get you into recovery faster, it could be a good thing. And for me, it was a good thing because I did learn a lot about myself. Most importantly, that I have lost my right to chemical peace of mind. I cannot safely use outside things to change my insides. And I'll do it all the time. I'll do it with gambling. I'll do it with relationships. I'll do it with food. I use outside things to change my insides. My goal today isn't to shame anybody. I'm going to explain relapse in a way that maybe it'll finally make sense for you. And then maybe you can avoid it and save yourself the mental anguish and others around you, the pain of having to watch you go through that again. I'm going to talk about how recovery is a process and not necessarily an event. It doesn't just happen overnight. These things have been brewing up for a while. You emotionally relapse before you physically relapse, in my experience. And that most people relapse not because they're weak, but just they don't have the tools. I didn't have the tools to look for certain things before it happened. And then also, it's one thing to have the tools to know what to look for before it happens. It's another thing to do something about it, right? To call someone and tell them you want to drink, or to go to that meeting that you really don't want to go to because you're ashamed you're feeling this way. So I'm going to talk about the 3 phase model, and starting with phase 1, emotional relapse. Nobody really talks about this phase because it's not obvious and a lot of people don't know that they're there. Nothing really looks wrong from the outside. It's sort of like the duck, right? You're the duck swimming. Everything looks good on the surface, but underneath you're paddling like a fucking madman. So the key point here is you're not physically using yet. You're not even thinking about using or drinking yet. That's the key point. It hasn't even crossed your mind, right? You're not thinking. Most people relapse, in my experience. I relapsed when I wasn't thinking about relapsing. A lot of people also relapse when they think they're immune to relapse, right? And I have some sober time now. I'm good. I'm cured. I'm fixed. I'm immune to relapse. Very dangerous place to be. Huge red flag if you catch yourself feeling or thinking like. So the important part here is your behaviors are creating the conditions for the relapse. Some signs that you're in this phase: poor sleep, isolating, skipping meetings, support groups, irritability, restlessness, bottling your emotions, right? Stuffing it down, and saying I'm fine when really you need help. So emotional relapse is essentially disconnecting. You're disconnecting from your recovery behaviors, your recovery tools, right? Those habits that you've built up until this point. It could be slowly, one by one. You stop going to a meeting here or there. You stop calling somebody here and there. You stop talking about certain things you used to talk about with other people. And so the nervous system moves into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, which is an emotional response to stress. And people look for relief. So an example of this stage for me was, I was 3 months sober after relapsing after 8 years. I came back in, went to a rehab in Utah, and I was 3 months sober. And I've talked about this before, but I was driving home from the cottage and I just felt emotionally distraught, right? I was just drained. I felt bored. I felt depressed. I felt alone. And I stopped doing the recovery things that I had done to bring me to that point. I was living at a sober house and I didn't hang out with the guys at the sober house, right? I didn't stay close to my recovery community. I was more focused on other things. I remember even going to a Blink 182 concert that night, and I didn't drink that night, but it was the first time in a while that I actually craved a drink. I was thinking about beer, I was thinking about drinking, I was thinking about fixing my insides, right? I'm going to I need some kind of relief. I was looking for relief. And I talked about it with people, but I didn't follow up with the action after and continue to do the recovery things after the. So phase two, this is mental relapse. So first was emotional, now mental we're talking. This is the sort of internal war, the battle that you have in your head. The justifications start to come out, all the reasons why. I always say this, but I could write a book with a thousand reasons why I should drink, a thousand reasons to drink and use drugs. I could write that book today. I can come up with the stupidest, most insignificant, but they make sense to me, reasons to pick up a drink and drug. So, like I said, you're thinking about using, you're thinking about the good times, you're glorifying it in your head, you're bargaining with yourself. Maybe I could just have one. Maybe I could get away with it here. No one would know. Maybe I could control it now. I'm feeling better. I'll come back to this recovery thing after. I'm just going to do some more experimenting. You're minimizing the consequences. It wasn't that bad. Yeah, I got kicked out of my house, but that won't happen again because she was overreacting. Just absolute nonsense, right? Not truth. Your addict brain is planning to kill you. It's planning to take you out. And these are the steps that it takes to do so. This is also the point where maybe you're planning it, right? You have an upcoming party that you're looking forward to, or a cottage weekend with the boys, or a bachelor party. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to do it. No one's going to know. And I'm going to get away with it. And I'm going to come back to recovery, or I'm going to be okay. I'm not going to go on a bender this time. This time will be different, right? Pure insanity, doing the same thing, expecting different results. Insanity. So the cravings come from a multitude of places, but mainly stress, anxiety, fear, resentment, right? Anger towards yourself or other people, loneliness, certain people or places or music, memories get triggered. And like I said, you're remembering the good times only, essentially emotional discomfort. And instead of picking up the recovery toolkit you've been given, you pick up the quick, easy fix, or you start to think about picking up the quick, easy fix because it worked that one time and this time it's going to work just like that. Cocaine solved my problems and made me happy and feel euphoric for 3 minutes that one time. It'll last longer this time. Insanity. And when you're under stress too, the other thing to note is the emotional stress, the feelings, the overwhelming feelings, your dopamine levels are attracted to the shortcut, right? The easy, quick fix, the band-aid solution, the line of Coke, the drink, the pill, whatever your thing is. Your brain remembers that was a quick fix. And so scientifically, it's really hard to reverse and snap out of that. But you can. It is possible. And I've done it. I do it often, actually. I still get thoughts today, almost 11 months clean and sober again. I still get memories of the good times of like having a lot of drugs on me and the feelings of freedom, illusory freedom, I call it, that we had, right? This feeling of illusory freedom that drugs and alcohol gave us, where I don't have to be an adult today. I miss that when really we all know how it ends up. It's not fun. It's not ideal. The people around you hurt. You hurt. It leads to pure chaos and pain every single time. So when you find yourself arguing with yourself, justifying it, coming up with crazy, irrational ideas to relapse or to use, that's when it's a red flag. Notice that, talk about it. You can reverse that pattern. I do all the time, like I said. Something that helps me a lot too is just laughing about it with other people, right? Or even at yourself, like, oh, I'm doing that thing again. My addict brain is back. He's doing that thing again. These things work, right? Start to label it for what it is. It's an emotion, and that's it. It doesn't have to become an action or a behavior. All right, phase 3, physical relapse. So this is the final stage. There's a lot of different ideas for different phases, and some of them have 5 phases, 4 phases. This is just a basic 3-phase framework that I like to deal with because it's simple and I like simple. So this is the result, not the beginning. You've actually gone and picked up and done the drugs or alcohol. So at this point, you've already made the decision, you've picked up, and the earlier 3 phases have already weakened your ability to choose. You're kind of past the point of no return, right? Where no, I've made my decision, I'm going to do it, and I don't care about the consequences. I'll sweep it under the rug, right? That was me for a long time. I used to do that all the time. I'll deal with this. This is tomorrow Anthony's problem. Today, I'm going to get good and high. Tomorrow, Anthony will deal with it. So I think a lot of people blame this as the moment for relapse, right? Where they don't realize that it's already been brewing. The relapse had been brewing emotionally and mentally beforehand. So I want you to think about your relapses that you've had and sort of look back, journal about them, analyze them, go through it with a friend. Don't do it alone. Where did your relapse start? right? If you can honestly look back at it, where did it start? It wasn't at the first drink. So, okay, what happened in the weeks, months before the first drink? Be honest with yourself. Maybe you can reverse it for next time. I find that we're patterned people, right? We tend to do the same things over and over again. So if I can recognize my pattern of why I need to use drugs and drink, then I can stop it before it happens. For me, a big one is fear, boredom, right? Like, is this all my life is now? I talk about that a lot here. Is this all my life is now? And I can't imagine living another day in this boring shithole of a life when sometimes I just need to push through and white knuckle through those moments to get through the other side. Because I'll tell you, every time I've done that, I felt 1,000 times better. Whenever I've successfully battled a trigger, a craving, a thought with other people's help, because I can't do it alone, as I always say, I've felt 1,000 times better, bar none. Remember, relapse isn't one moment. It's 1,000 small, unchecked moments. All right. Now I'm going to talk about why relapse happens. So, root causes. Maybe this will help you identify why you have relapsed in the past and how to avoid it. And again, there are a lot of reasons for a lot of us, but these are just the ones that I can come up with. So, one is unmanaged stress. The brain seeks relief over logic a lot of the time. And alternatives to handling stress would be, for me, it's meditation, grounding techniques, right? Sometimes using your five senses. So, if I'm sitting down and I'm really spinning out, focus on what I can see, what I can hear, what I can touch, what I can smell. Focus on the senses, and that'll ground you. Phoning a friend is a big one for me now. So calling someone and just saying, hey, how's it going? Asking them about their day. And then if you feel comfortable with that person, saying, hey, I'm spinning out right now. What do you think about this? Right? Hey, can I bounce something off you? Hey, I'm feeling this way. What do you think? Going outside is another good one. Going to the gym, getting physical, moving your body in some sort of capacity. Get off the fucking couch. Reason two, isolation and disconnection. So the opposite of addiction is connection. That means addiction's best friend is isolation. Here's what being alone does to me, at least, and I think to a lot of people. When I'm alone, I'm the only one checking my ideas, right? It's a dangerous place to be where I'm like, I'm spinning out about the fear of the future, or if I'm not making enough money at this job and I shouldn't have left my old job to become a counselor. And, I made a mistake and the podcast isn't doing the way I want it to do. So now I'm stressed about that. I spin all these ideas in my head and they just become true, more true as I think about them. They're ruminating in my head. I'm not getting them out. They have all the power. They're renting the entirety of my head. Easy solution to this one. Sorry, simple solution to this one. Going to a meeting, any support group, talking to your therapist, online communities, going for coffee with a friend. Easy, quick little wins. Coffee with a friend is a favorite one. Reason three. This one is so common in early recovery in the rehab that I work at. And I just actually dealt with it today with a guy. Overconfidence. I'm doing good. I'm better now. I'm cured. Complacency is by far the highest risk of relapse, right? It wasn't that bad, guys. Don't worry. I've got this. Resting on our laurels, right? Just coasting in recovery. Dangerous, dangerous place to be. You do all this work to get sober, and then slowly but surely, you drop the tools one by one. I don't need to go to that many meetings anymore. I don't need to do this. I don't need to do that. I don't need to talk about my thoughts. I'm better now. If addiction is a progressive disease, which it is, that means it's progressing as you get sober. So that means my addiction is stronger than it was 11 years ago. That means to me, I need to do more work than I did 11 years ago. It might look different, right? Sure, I'm not going to 5 meetings a week, but I have to put in the work 24 hours a day. I do different things now 24 hours a day, like talk to my higher power, calling people, going to my home group every single, especially when I don't want to. And trust me, I don't want to a lot of the. So confidence is good. Complacency is lethal and deadly. Reason four, emotional avoidance. Most relapse isn't about wanting the substance. It's not about the high. It's wanting the escape, the safety net of checking out. I always say this, but turning down the volume knob on your thoughts. That's what it did for me, at least. Tomorrow didn't matter when I was high and drunk. Nothing mattered. I crave that nothing matters feeling. So if we're constantly avoiding our emotions, mainly shame, anger is a big one, resentment, self-hatred, self-pity, if we're constantly avoiding and stuffing down and not talking about it, not dealing with it, not facing it, not sitting with it, but sitting in it instead of sitting with it, right? Not analyzing it, not being honest about it, we're doomed. It's only a matter of time before your brain fills up and seeks that pressure release valve, right? That steam needs to blow off. And we know how to do that quick and easy with drugs and alcohol. But it's never quick and easy, is it? It never ends up quick and easy because we're addicts or alcoholics or both. All right. How to stop relapse before it starts. I'm going to give you some tools here, okay? So tool 1, pattern recognition. Start tracking the early signs with journaling, phone apps, whatever. Track it. Analyze your patterns. So sleep, isolation, irritability. Have I been isolating more this week? At the end of the day, think about it. Write it down. What did I do right today? What do I need to improve on today? Am I more irritable? Am I lashing out at my loved ones? These are all signs. So there's the rule of 3 that we can also track here, where you're writing down 3 stressful events, 3 emotional triggers, and 3 days in a row without recovery action. If you can name your patterns, you can identify your patterns, you can interrupt them. Tool 2, immediate interrupt technique. So this is in the moment. Stop it in its tracks. Call or text someone. That's a big one. And if they don't answer, call or text the next guy or girl. Go to a meeting. There's online ones. I did a whole podcast episode about different types of recovery meetings. Pick one. Change your environment immediately. Go outside. Go to a coffee shop. Get out of your head. Move. Use grounding techniques, the 5 senses that I talked about. Also, there's counting down from 5. 3 deep breaths in and then 3 long breaths out, or breathing in for 4 seconds, holding it for 4 seconds, breathing out for 6 seconds. Urge surfing, so delaying the urge, riding the wave. Wait 10 or 15 minutes. Just wait it out. Do something else instead. This too shall pass. I promise you it'll pass. Not in your time, but it will pass. Every craving does. There's usually a peak and then a fall, much like a wave. Tool 3, build a relapse prevention plan. Okay, a lot of you that have been to rehab have done this before. It's very simple, very effective. Write down, have a list of who you can call, what you can do, where you can go, what thoughts are red flags for you, and what actions you need to commit to daily. Write this all down and follow it. If this all sounds like a lot too, you don't need to do all of this in one sitting. And you haven't failed if you don't do any of these, right? Start implementing one tool at a time. Start implementing one thing at a time. Start analyzing, build small wins, right? You don't need to swallow this all whole in one day. You don't need to do this all. It doesn't happen overnight. Recovery does not happen overnight. It's built in small wins, small moments, getting through hard things. Recovery is not built on motivation. It's built on systems, repeated actions, tools. And when in doubt, call another alcoholic or addict. Will save the day. When you don't know what to do next, reach out your hand. Ask someone that has more sober time than you how to get through it. They will help you if they're in a good place spiritually and in a good recovery, working a good recovery program. And if you have a little more time and you're a little bit more steady in your recovery, go and help someone else. I'm telling you, service is the greatest tool recovery has to offer. Bar none. Being of service to somebody else gets you out of your shit and into their shit. When I'm sitting down next to another guy who's struggling or in recovery, I'm not thinking about my problems. I'm not thinking about myself. I'm listening to them. I'm trying to help them. I'm being of service. Try it. It works. Relapse can be a part of recovery, but it does not have to be. When I first went into rehab at 23, I stayed sober and clean for 8 years without one slip, one relapse. And then I did. I didn't think I was going to relapse. And as my therapist always says, relapse happens when you're not thinking about relapse. So be honest with yourself, analyze these things, think about the tools I've given you today, start to look back on your past relapses and analyze them. Don't sit in it and obsess over it. Don't beat yourself up about it. That's the other thing. You're of no use to yourself or anyone if you're beating yourself up about relapsing. It's not failure. It can be a part of the process. For me, relapsing after 8 years, coming back in was the hardest fucking thing I've ever done. Admitting to my friends who have known me as the sober guy for 8 years that I relapsed, I thought I lost it all. You don't lose it all. You can jump back on the horse any moment. That's the best part about recovery is when I'm falling off the beam a little bit, when I'm falling off the horse, I can get back on within seconds. falling off, in my experience, takes a little bit more longer of a time, right? But I can immediately jump back on the recovery saddle today, right now, one thing at a time. I've had many relapses in my life, 3 major ones. I've learned something from every single one of them. Let your relapse be an enhancement to your recovery. Let it be an opportunity for growth, not a failure. Learn from it. Your plan maybe was broken. Maybe your plan wasn't the right plan for you. Revise that plan, rewrite the story, and push forward. Be of service, help others. You can get through this. Push through the tough moments. Ask for help. Do the next right thing. If you can't do the next right thing, do the next thing right. Okay, guys, thanks so much for being here today. I am so appreciative of all of you. The holidays are coming. It's a tough time. Send me a message if you want me to talk about anything specific. I will do so. Please, 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 if you like the podcast, subscribe, follow, rate the podcast. That is the best payment I could receive from you. It helps me, it helps my family. I appreciate you. I love you. Enjoy the holidays. Pay it forward, the gift that was freely given to you. And just remember this: you don't have to drink or use drugs today. You don't have to. I know it feels sometimes like you do have to. It does get easier, it does get better, and then it gets worse, and then it gets better, and then it gets worse. But it is so fucking worth it. You are worth it.